sometimes it's scary to move to another country to be in an environment. But I think moving it opens your eyes. It makes you see things in different perspective. It makes you receptive to people. You perhaps get more empathetic in some aspects, and I think it's also a very good move to grow as a person and also as a scientist.
Welcome to Called to Science, where we explore the stories of the people shaping life sciences research. I'm your host, science journalist Brad Van Peerdonk. In this episode, we talk about the similarities between music and science, the benefits of collaboration, and moving abroad to pursue your passion. Milton Antwi, welcome and congratulations on your recently completed PhD. You did your thesis work here at the VIB-UGent Center for Medical Biotechnology, where you researched medicines and treatments for fatty liver disease. Along the way, you won several awards for your work and the manner in which you present it, such as the Scientists on Stage competition at the VIB seminar in 2024. And while most academics are no stranger to moving abroad, you may also have the Called to Science Award for most radical change in scenery. You completed your bachelor's at the University of the Southern Caribbean in Trinidad and Tobago, and then chose to go literally to the Arctic for your master's degree in biomedicine at the Arctic University of Norway in Tromsø. You are also a talented musician, sports enthusiast, and co-creator with your sister of a wildly successful Instagram account, Nurse Boss Essentials, focusing on nursing education, and which has over 500,000 followers. Milton, I'm surprised you have the time to fit this in. So thank you very much for sitting down with me today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Brett, for very elaborate introduction, I'll see.
Well, it seems like you've done a lot. And I wanted to start with music, but we could also start with the choice to go from the Caribbean, possibly one of the nicest climates, to the Arctic. How was that transition?
Yes, I did my bachelor's over here. There's actually stayed there for about 7 years in the Caribbean, and it was really after my bachelor's degree, I was looking for where can I do my research. At first, I was looking into medicine, so I was looking more into the US and things like that, but looking at the fees and things in the US, medical student, it's quite. So I was looking into a program whereby I can immerse myself into the scientific endeavor, and looking at various countries like Germany, UK as well. But I saw in Norway, one university there, the Arctic University of Norway at the time, when I applied, they had really a nice course called Advanced Methods in Biomedicine, whereby they just took a selected few of people and you're able to do that course, really intensive lab course. And I think that was a very nice opening for me. So I was like, let me just transition and see what's there. And the Arctic there, when I arrived, I got to know, okay, this is it's a nice place, very serene. Of course, the weather has 8 months of winter. Periods where it's dark as well.
Right, yeah.
But summertime, there's no night. It's only sun.
You
so
get the 24-hour
24-hour light.
Yeah.
So it's
Wow.
quite a transition. But I enjoyed my experience there.
So what time of year did you arrive in Norway? Had you been there before, or you were going there sort of blind?
I was going blind, but of course I do my homework before moving to a new country to see. But I went there pretty blind, but I knew what to expect already from.
Was it winter when you arrived, or
it
you
was
had some transition period?
It was summer, but the summer there we call it green winter because it have only, I think, summertime average temperature is 10 to 15 degrees there. So it's pretty cold when you arrive, but you slowly transition your way
to the really cold.
To the winter. I think the lowest I've experienced there was minus 22. Degrees.
I'm familiar with this from Canada,
from
so
Canada,
it makes sense.
So it's quite.
So then I got to ask, you're into sports. Did you get into any of the winter sports? Do any skiing, ice skating, something like this, or no?
I didn't really delve into it. I tried, the skiing part, but I was afraid to fall. But I'm more the football person, basketball, but I know perhaps you're into hockey as well.
Yeah, very big into hockey.
Yeah.
We won't start on that because then the whole show will be about hockey. But I do also want to touch on one of your other hobbies, which is music, because I'm a bass player. I've been a bass player for like 20 years, playing music, playing in bands. And to me, it's one of the best things that's ever happened, my discovery of it and playing. And I feel like it's really kind of informed my life. When did you start playing? What is it that you get out of it?
I started, my childhood started in Indonesia. So that's where I started learning how to play the piano. My parents enrolled me to but I discovered early on I had this musical talent whereby I can hear music and just play. So I sort of build on that, and I first went to music lessons, but later on I was like, I don't really like reading a lot of notes, and I prefer I prefer sometimes just playing. So I've been playing quite some time. I think perhaps 20 years playing music. I played music sometimes in concerts and things like that, so it's a nice balance combining with the science, and I really enjoyed the process of learning music. And when you hear a piece, the energy that you put into it to take your time and try to learn the piece well and to able to perform to people, and they hear it and you're like, oh, this is so I enjoyed that process as well.
And I feel like there's a little bit of science in there too, where you're sometimes banging your head against the wall, you're repeating something over and over and over, and then finally there's that moment.
Yeah, exactly. I think music is a perfect analogy in the sense, because learning a piece, it takes time. It takes to hone your craft, you practice and you make mistakes and you gradually see improvements, and not being discouraged to know, okay, this piece is too hard, let me abandon it, but for you to keep learning it. And it's also if you enjoy it more, and the more you actually practice and stuff like that. So it's really a nice analogy that you gave there. Yeah.
So I want to talk then your career in research, and we touched on moving abroad, making these big moves. When did you decide to make the choice to move abroad to study, and why?
I think from a young age, I was curious about science. I think I got a bit of the inspiration from my dad. He's a professor in biochemistry. So at a young age, I'm actually a byproduct of homeschooling.
Oh, interesting.
I grew up in Indonesia, but stayed there for 10 years. And the system where he adopted in terms of correspondence with the US at the time, he ordered the books and curriculum and everything, and teach me home with my mom as well. And from the young age, he instilled in me, to read and to understand science, and really gave a very solid foundation. So when I started school, I already, was ahead in terms of knowing the scientific process and things like that. So it gave me a very solid foundation. So in terms of moving into another country, I think I left Trinidad to Norway. That was the first pivotal move that I made on my own to say, okay, I want to pursue science. So that's a bit of the historical context in that manner.
And so in Norway, you were already interested in the liver, focusing on the liver? I
think growing up, one of the organs that fascinated me was the liver, because it's
interesting.
It's an organ that has the ability. It's the largest internal organ, first of all.
I knew that.
Yes, and it's the organ that can regenerate. It's like Wolverine.
Right.
And it can perform about 500 functions. It's very pivotal. So if you think of the liver as an organ that's mostly like the factory house of the body, it can perform in terms of deamination, recycling of red blood cells, different aspects. So I was curious to learn more about it. So when I moved there, I was like, okay, this is one of the research groups I wanted to join in that aspect.
Interesting. So then, you make this move to Norway really based on what you saw, the potential you saw for yourself, your academic career growth, let's say. Coming to Belgium, was it a similar decision? Was there something that you saw here that you thought you could achieve or wanted to achieve, or how did that next move come about?
Yeah, when I finished my master's, I was in the transition period. I worked a bit in the hospital over there, University Hospital Northern Norway, trying to work on the bone marrow as well. But I wanted to pursue my PhD, and I actually wanted to stay there to continue, but there was a funding issue. So as usual,
Life of science, yeah.
Life of science. So I was like, okay, where can I continue my curiosity in this aspect? So I was looking to various universities. I remember applying to various universities in Europe, and I saw this position. I think I saw it last minute, thinking back. I saw this position really last minute to the deadline. I applied, and it was and I had an interview with a promoter. I had the instant connection, and I really liked the aspects in terms they're doing. So I luckily came here before COVID at the time, 2020, and saw how Belgium is and VIB is and the environments that it demonstrates. And I was like, okay, this is perhaps would be a very good environment for me to grow as a scientist. So I moved in 2020. Yeah.
And so now, having finished your PhD here, what can you say about your time, the experience at VIB? Did you achieve the things that you wanted in terms of growth as a scientist?
Yes, definitely. I think VIB is my project was very collaborative, not only VIB, I only collaborated with scientists at Ghent University, also Ghent University Hospital, and I was also with the industry as well. So it really opened my eyes to various collaborative aspects of science in general. And, as a PhD, there's a lot of setbacks that you experience as you do it. But it because of the scientists and different scientists I was able to go to get ideas. Sometimes simple conversations can spark an innovative idea, and has also translated in my research as well. So it was really enriching experience. I learned a lot from the scientists, from doctors, from also the core facilities. VIB has about 12 core facilities. Really rich in that environment. So you get a lot of this inspiration, and if you're stuck somewhere, you're able to go to various scientists to talk to them for inspiration. And that has really enriched my experience here, and learning more about the disease as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's something, doing these interviews with the show, speaking with VIB scientists, there really seems to be this collaboration is kind of key. It's central to what a lot of people do, and there seems to be a lot of benefit there. I want to ask you specifically, because you are researching a disease, fatty liver disease, how has that collaborative, translational kind of environment, how do you think that helps your approach to taking fundamental questions, research questions, and bringing it to patients?
Yes, because if you look at, let me talk about fatty liver disease in general. It's actually one of the, it's an epidemic. It affects about 1.66 billion people. That's 38%. That's a lot. And one thing about the disease, it progresses really slowly. So you can be sitting there and having it, and you don't really know, and the symptoms appear at the end, sort of at the end stage, So in terms of learning about the disease, when I started my PhD, there was no drugs. There's no drugs approved for fatty liver. And the research initial concept was identifying 2 potential proteins that can crosstalk. And these are very good targets in terms of, they had fundamental data. So when I saw it, I was like, okay, let's collaborate with clinicians, with also animal physiologists, and to build upon this story. And that collaborative nature was very important because I think if we combine our expertise in terms of nuclear receptors, clinicians, what they see in the hospital, and able to access the patients, as well as the preclinical models as well, and also the company as well, giving their drugs for us to test as well, was a very good collaborative nature in that respect.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I want to ask about your research is the gender personalized aspect of it. It's not something I think a lot of people think of. And I remember myself a couple of years ago reading some fact or learning some fact about how even just normal, everyday pharmaceuticals that people take well, they affect the genders differently.
Yes.
So there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
This seems like a really maybe new topic, or at least an underexplored topic.
Actually, the gender part was an article I wrote. That was not my main topic that I worked in, but there's an aspect to gender because the male and females fatty liver progress differently. In females, they have in terms of prevalence, there's difference between premenopause and postmenopause.
Right.
And that cause the difference is the hormonal difference. There's this particular hormone, estrogen. It have a protective effect for the females. To men, no, we don't have that. And I can see correlation data that as you grow older and your testosterone level drops, you're more prone to get a disease. And with the females as well. Because if you look at the median age of people who get fatty livers between 50 to 60, that's the peak. However, now because of increasing obesity as well, there's a lot of also childhood obesity, which it's increasing. So it's the disease very metabolic. It's a lot of multi-factor. You have obesity tied into it. You have also type 2 diabetes. These are the top 2 risk factors for fatty liver. So with regards to in gender, there's differences, and sometimes it made me wrote the blog in terms of that. Can it be personalized in that aspect? I think there's some researchers that's looking at that as well.
Right. Well, I think I think it's interesting because again, it kind of, to me, it speaks to why this collaborative approach is also so necessary, right? Because if you're just looking at, like, let's say cells in a dish in the lab, you might not realize some of these differences, right? It's only through patient data and then also, like you say, the animal models, preclinical data, trying these things out that you start to realize, oh, well, these two patient groups, they are responding differently. They have different hormonal profiles. So it really speaks to a whole team coming together to sort of uncover this clue. Yes.
I think one big misconception of science is that you work alone. And now I think the modern science is is very collaborative in nature, and it brings out the best in the project and in papers as well. So, and what I like about the project is I was able to set a foundation for follow-up, because if you look at fatty liver, it can actually progress all the way to cancer, right? Because your liver is inflamed, then you have fibrosis, that's just scarring of the liver that occurs, and it can progress over time to cancer. And my research propelled also another foundation layer to look at mechanisms to target cancer, HCC in general. So it was really a good stepping stone, the project. Yeah.
So now we have a segment we call Dare to Ask. And these are questions from the VIB community, things that people might have always wanted to ask, but never dared to. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. What was the most surprising thing about living and working in Belgium?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. That surprised me. I think how big VIB was. Yes, I didn't, when I came in here, I didn't know. I just look at the research and stuff. I didn't know, like, VIB is a very big institute with 10 different centers and able to, like, the collaborative nature and all the spin-offs in which they put, I think, like 40 spin-offs, and look at the revenue they generate for the country. So I didn't really know that aspect. I think it shocked me a bit. I was like, okay, this is this is a big deal.
Feels like a big thing.
It's like a big thing. So I think that shocked me quite a bit in terms of, I think VIB is a bit modest in the way they present themselves sometimes. It's a big deal. It's quite what they do as well. So I think I was quite shocked in that aspect. Yeah.
All right. If you weren't in science doing research, do you think you'd be a full-time musician?
Perhaps. I think I might be a full-time musician but I was exposed to science and I loved it, and there's a correlation there between science and music. So I I think I'll still be a scientist, but it could. There's always a possibility. Perhaps if my parents were full-time musicians, maybe I'll be. Yeah.
I was gonna say, well, it might be harder to make a living as a musician, but I
True.
don't know. It's
True.
Both can be difficult.
True. It's difficult to be a full-time musician. You have to be very, very good.
Yeah.
In the department. So yeah.
I have another one if you want.
Okay. Well, what's the other one?
Yeah. What is a scientific assumption that you have completely changed your mind about?
Oh, that scientists know everything. I think before the outside looking in, and you see some of the data that's produced, and you say, oh, okay, this. They know what you're doing, but when you're in it, you're like, a lot of things is based on evidence, things that you're building over previous work sometimes. And when new evidence presents itself, you're always subject to change. And sometimes people get shocked that, okay, you're researching this, why have you changed this finding or something? Or this finding was rescinded or something. Like if a drug's in the market, they pull it off. So it's really, scientists do not know everything. We are always learning. It's very complex. So you're always learning if there's any new evidence that comes up, and we build on that finding. Yeah,
it's almost like if things don't change, or if you don't realize how much you don't know, you're not doing science correctly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great. This was Dare to Ask. If you have a question you'd like to ask, leave it in the comments below, or ask anonymously in the link in the description. We make this podcast to highlight the people behind the science. If you like what you'd heard, we'd love it if you left a review or suggest it to someone you think would like it too. Talking about your experience here, and you had this exposure to all of these different elements of research, how has that, maybe opened your eyes to different possibilities? Something that comes up on this show a lot is people thinking that, from a PhD you have to become a professor, or it's somehow a failure. But
I actually disagree with that notion whereby if you don't be a professor, then I think I don't know where that mindset came from.
I don't know either, but I experienced it when I was doing my PhD, and it's something that comes
it's something that I actually, when I was younger, I also sort of adopted that mindset a bit. Like, what are the other careers in science? There are a lot of careers. Like, what are you doing? Communication, in terms of working in, like patent attorney, like business manager, different aspects within the science that you can work in this industry, or even in academia as well. So I think VIB gives there's a lot of career development courses that you can do at VIB, which I did, and it opened my eyes to a lot of pathways you can take. And sometimes it's timing as well.
Right, yeah.
Timing is very key to a lot of things. Timing, and also luck. Sometimes to where you move, sometimes you want to go to a certain path, and then something else pops up. So, I think it's good to explore possibilities and also know your strengths. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And what you're good at? I think if you do something that you really like and you can really thrive, I think it's very good to pursue that as well.
I think I always think about it as if you're pursuing something you like, that you're good at, the doors will open, and then you have to be ready to jump through one of those doors. It seems like you've done that as well, with these big moves that you've made, but always kind of with a focus on, this is what I'm interested in, this is what I want to do. What is maybe some other advice that you could give to somebody who's thinking about leaving for studies, maybe doesn't know exactly where they want to go, but is looking to pursue some kind of a career
in science? I think the first step is to believe that, I'm to know, okay, what you're interested in. I think if you have something you're interested, then you can seek opportunities and take that step. And that step, it's sometimes it's scary to move to another country, to be in an environment. But I think moving it opens your eyes. It makes you see things in different perspective. It makes you receptive to people. You perhaps get more empathetic in some aspects, and I think it's also a very good move to grow as a person and also as a scientist. I think some of the best, I like the collaborative environment and the multidisciplinary aspects and meeting people from different groups, cultures. You learn a lot from people aspect as well. So it's advice is to take that move if you have the opportunity, take it. And of course, you experience everywhere you move. There's pros and cons. There's nowhere everything goes smoothly. But I think if you evaluate, okay, the pros and cons, you can deal with it. I think you should go for it.
Yeah. Great. So I want to ask about the Scientist on Stage competition. This seems like kind of a unique thing. As I understand it, it was a group of individuals. It's a program put on by VIB. Group of individuals selected and were given some kind of training by professionals in presentation. Maybe you can explain the process to us.
Yeah, I think the process was, I saw an email like saying, oh, there's scientists on stage. I was like, okay, this is cool. I told my supervisor about it and he was like, okay, apply. Send your abstracts. I sent in. I was selected as, I think we were 6 of us, and to present. So this VIB seminar is done yearly, whereby all the scientists at VIB, I think about 700 to 1,000 people come for it. And they have this 10-minute segment whereby you come on stage and share your science to a diverse audience. So you should be not too deep so people can understand. So there's a course that we did, and it's 2 days, and there's this the guy who trained us was really good in terms of, okay, how can you make it interesting? So, and in that aspect, and how can you convey in a short space of time what you work on? And it was a good training session.
Yeah, I think it's an important part of science that maybe young scientists don't get enough training in, because it's everyone always thinks science communication, it's for, the public, the non-scientific audience, but there's a lot of siloing that goes on in research, right? And some of the best examples of, let's say, breakthroughs and stuff comes from when one field looks at what the other field is doing and they realize there's a connection there. But if nobody knows what you're doing, or if nobody understands what you're doing, how can that happen?
How can that happen? Yes. So I think it's very important. I think this podcast forum, I think sometimes I watch some podcasts like Star Talk, the Star Talk and Andrew Huberman. They're very good at articulating yourself in complex science in simple manner. I think it's important for scientists as well to step into that zone, because some scientists are a bit reserved, not all, but some. But it's good to step outside that comfort zone. Also share your research. People want to hear, and it's important to also convey it in a way that people will understand. So that's science communication. It's really important.
Yeah, I mean, people don't think, young students, I think, don't think of it as well as just like, you're going to have to write a grant one day. So you're going to have to, articulate what it is you want to do, why you want to do it, that kind of thing. So it's really one of the soft skills that's quite important.
It's really important. It's a bit like sales.
Yeah. A bit like sales.
Selling, right? It's a bit like sales. Yeah.
Exactly. So this idea of communication, science communication, it runs in your family, I guess. I want to talk about this Instagram account that your sister has, and you're involved in some way.
Yeah, my sister is very good at public speaking as well, and also articulating her ideas, and she's good at making these figures into a simplified manner. So she's a nurse. She also did her PhD in nursing. At the time we started in 2018, she started this Facebook group whereby she was some of the courses she learned, she was trying to make it in art form so people can. I saw it. I was like, yo, what you're doing is, I can see the vision. Open the Instagram account and start doing something. And we started small, had 0 followers, and we started growing. And as time goes on, we were able to make the figures more easier to read and make it more colorful for people. And then we started making books. Then we opened a website and we learned a bit about the algorithm, did email marketing and that aspect. So it slowly took off. And I think I helped here and there, but she was able to, I think, have like 500,000 followers. And a lot of students benefit from that, especially those nursing students in the US, Australia, Ireland, or other students we see when they are doing their exams. There's the exam nursing students do to become a nurse. It's called NCLEX, perhaps, and they're able to study our content and write and pass the exam. So you get a lot of nice reviews and the aspect. So I think that was just a nice sort of hobby that turned into something tangible in that sense.
Yeah, it's nice. Something to be proud of for sure. You can definitely see the value it's bringing, the impact it has. Thinking of that now, looking at the future, what's next? I understand you're looking for postdocs to stay in Belgium?
Let's see.
Well, I was going to say,
let's see.
If you're staying in Belgium, it wouldn't be for the weather, but you've already experienced the Arctic, you've already experienced the Caribbean. What's left?
That's left, I guess. I think right now I'm just exploring options to see perhaps postdoc or industry too. It sounds lucrative. So I think VIB gave me a sense as to what to expect in both departments. So it'd be nice to follow up, on different projects. So right now I call it free agent.
Yeah, I understand that. I work as a freelancer, but I'm curious about, again, kind of what you would like to accomplish with your career. I know you don't exactly know where you're going to be next, but is there something moving forward that you want to, in 10 years, you can say, look back on and that you've had a difference in with your work or even outside of the lab?
In terms of research, I'm really these days interested in inter-organ crosstalk. There's a lot of liver-brain connection, liver-gut connection in that side of angle. I think it's really interesting, and I think some groups are starting to look, because sometimes science you're fixated on one organ or one cell, but the organs, they communicate, they crosstalk, and I think that's an interesting angle that I'm also curious to see. So let's see.
And I mean, it goes to communication. We're talking about communication. Well, the organs are talking to
each other.
But it's also, I think, again, touches on this collaborative thing that you were talking about, and your experience here being a very collaborative one. Again, you can't ask those questions without, a diverse team of people with different backgrounds and different knowledges, to be able to fill in all the gaps, right? Yeah,
exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think having multidisciplinary, also multicultural, I also respect that. From my movement from Asia to Africa to Caribbean to Europe, there are smart people all over the world, and sometimes selecting team to come together to work on a problem, you can get different sides, different angles, and which you probably never think of, and different way of working as well. And also, and giving you, enriching vibe is also very good in that aspect. I think VIB does very well of selecting their talents, bringing people from all over the world to do that. Also, the universities as well are doing a good job. So yeah, you get different people, different way of working is very good, and enriches the science as well in that aspect. Because if you're tackling a disease and the disease is worldwide, you also want to have a worldwide view, isn't it? You don't have one demographic. So I think I'm a believer of that. Yeah.
It makes sense to me. This is the last question. Yeah. The question that we ask all the guests. Maybe it's coming. I don't know. If you were to encounter a omniscient, all-knowing being, what would be the question you would ask?
I think the $1 million question, how life was formed, like in terms of how, because you're in a microcosm, if you look at the galaxy. I was watching the video expanding from the Earth all the way to the Milky Way galaxy. I was like, it's actually beyond our comprehension. Some things I sometimes try to make an analogy of. it's like trying to teach an ant to understand the internet.
Yeah.
So I think our brains can't really comprehend some of the things that we're seeing, and so I think if I meet an omniscient being, I'll try to understand like how is everything created in the aspect. Yeah, it will be
how life starts is an interesting one, because it could be, you could break it down into how did life start here, or how did it start somewhere else, or is there a common origin to all of it?
Exactly.
I don't know.
That's a very...
But I mean, another podcast, I guess.
Yeah, podcast.
Well, thank you for sitting down for this podcast. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, thank you. It was nice talking to you, Brad. Thank you.
If you want to hear more inspiring stories from our VIB scientists, subscribe to Call to Science. And if you like what you heard, please leave us a review. It really helps. Thanks for listening.